Hello, and welcome to another episode of Racy Reviews. My name is Ashley, and sitting next to me is my producer, Steve.
Hello.
Hiya. So we did really well with the first episode. I'm really impressed with the amount of people that sort of come in and listened, and I've had a few comments as well, which is really, really nice. Please don't forget to obviously check out my Instagram and my Twitter and the website, which will all be linked in the podcast. So this week, over the last 2 weeks, I have watched an arrangement of different films. Some good, some really, really good, and some I just never want to watch again. So let's start off. We'll go from least favorite to most favorite. Least favorite was Fast X. Oh dear. I really don't even know what to say about this film. So, a quick synopsis on this film, just to start off, is that Dom Toretto and his family are targeted by the vengeful son of the drug kingpin, Hernan Reyes. Now, Hernan Reyes is played by the lovable Jason Momoa, who obviously is fantastic. He's got such character and charisma, and you really start to like him, but he's a villain. So, then it sort of defeats the object of him actually being a villain as such. He's not fretting at all. He's not scary. He's just an enjoyable, over the top character, which obviously you love because it's Jason Momoa, but as a whole, doesn't really fit in with the villain vibe. Now, the Fast and Furious franchise has gone on for way too long now, but he was the only best thing in it. I was so shocked that they just chucked in way too much and it was just too overpacked. So I'll try and not give too many spoilers. It seemed like they tried to do a Avengers Endgame style where there was loads of different stories overlapping, but half the time you're sort of watching Dom and then you're watching everyone else and then you're watching Letty, and it just really threw me, and it was just too vast and none of the stories were really connecting, so it sort of lost me on that part as well. The bad CGI is just, I don't even know what they did. This is a multi-million pound production, and yet the CGI looks like it's as good as Sharknado, which is saying something. Also, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear this, you can skip along, say 30 seconds. John Cena dies in the most ridiculous way, which is the most pointless thing. They killed off the brother, which they've only just introduced last film, and then all of a sudden, he's just like, yeah, I'm going to sacrifice myself and save everyone, when she doesn't. So it is the most pointless death in the whole thing. I was so gutted with this entire film. Me and my wife were watching it. My wife gave up halfway through. I had to watch it till the end. And the minute it faded black and it said part one, I could have screamed through my remote around. It was just ridiculous. So all in all, I rated that one a 2 out of 10. Next up is the not so good Black Demon. Now, Black Demon going in, I knew this was going to be a B film, but when I actually had a look at it, it just got even worse and worse, minute by minute. So, the synopsis of the story is: stranded on a crumbling rig in Baja, a family faces off against a vengeful megalodon shark. Now, going in, I am a massive fan of animal films. I'm a massive fan of shark films, especially when they kill people. Weird, I know, but I enjoy the shark films. However, I didn't realize this was going to be a megalodon sort of style film. Now, it is probably one of the worst films I could honestly say I have seen in terms of animals. It was dreadful. So, where do I start? Bad dialogue. It was absolutely atrocious, to the point when a dog went in and he was like, "Oh no, my dog." And I just had to laugh. It just threw me completely from the sort of cinematic experience. The CGI, again, was awful. Absolutely awful. He chopped someone up or it ate someone, sorry. And you just see this prosthetic CG looking arm floating upwards that doesn't actually look like it's underwater. It looks like it's sitting on top of the screen, which is even worse. The shark looked bloody awful. It didn't look nowhere near on the level of Meg, which quite shocked me actually. I thought for a film, I thought it was going to be a little bit better than Meg, but no, not at all. And the story was so boring. So it was a man going to an oil rig. He basically had to decompress the oil rig and shut it down. But actually going there, there's no one there apart from two people who want rid of the rig because it's a curse in the village. Always a curse with these style films. And it just got worse and worse and worse. Generally, I had to turn it off and then come back to it because I thought I've got to finish it. I'm not one for leaving a film halfway through unless it is this bad. But I thought, oh, it might get better. No, it was just atrocious. 2 out of 10. Yet again, 2 out of 10. Third on my list this week is Allelujah, which is a British film. Now, I absolutely adore a British film, especially when it's a real nice feel-good film. There's a real nice happy ending to it. Not always happy. A film I really like that is I, Daniel Blake. Doesn't have a happy ending, but it's such a perfect film. So going in, BBC Lottery film, I'm thinking, yes, this is going to be an absolute belter of a film. How wrong I could be. I really didn't know how to pick these films apparently this week. It just didn't feel right. Now, when I go into my explanation of it, you'll sort of understand. So, the story is about a geriatric ward in a small Yorkshire hospital threatened with closure. Now, obviously, in terms of COVID and everything that's happening, I thought, oh, okay, this is actually quite interesting. You've got the cast, you've got Judi Dench, you've got Jennifer Saunders, so I thought, and you've got Filch from Harry Potter. So, going in, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be absolutely brilliant. So, I'll do one half of the review and then I'll do the ending of the film. So going into it was really fun. I was really enjoying it all the way through. There was so many sort of wisecrack jokes and sort of about playing on the geriatric side and the fact about the bedwetting, and it just really made light of it, but it was still at heart. It had that real sort of, this is their end life. This is where they're going to end up. And it had a real sort of sad undertones and some really nice sort of, like I said, like the jokes. But then all of a sudden, and this is where we get towards the end, it just changes completely and turns into a bit of a murder mystery. Now, I'm sorry, but if you're going from one genre to the other, it needs to be succinct. You need to be able to have that sort of fluidity between it where it's understandable that this is where it's leading to, like a, say, Clouseau film or, a bit more of a detective style film, but it's really not. And that's what really threw me about this film was that, you've got this sort of lovable hospice that they're trying to keep open. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, one of the nurses has been doing this and killing people. And I was a bit like, wait, whoa, where are you going with this? Like, this is so off the mark completely and just doesn't make sense. So it really sort of hit a mark with that one and then didn't at the same time. Like I said, the characters, Jennifer Saunders, I thought was absolutely superb. I thought she was absolutely brilliant. I thought the main protagonist was fantastic. Judi Dench as well for her short role in it was really, really good. And Filch just made it for me. Some of his jokes that he was coming out with were absolutely brilliant. They really hit the mark. Now, what really threw me in this film completely was the ending. Now, right at the end, and this isn't such a spoiler said, but it's a spoken word sort of poem slash monologue towards the camera about nurses and doctors during COVID and how we need to give them more respect and they should have had the wealth and everything that they deserve. Now, I'm obviously all behind this. However, in terms of the film, it didn't work at all because you've gone from a British film with a lovable sort of cast. Then all of a sudden we're jumped and we're thrown out again, breaking the cinema experience has been sort of like a common denominator within these three films is the breaking of the audience experience is all of a sudden, yeah, we're being spoken to and being sort of like, you need to do better and the government needs to wake up and it just doesn't go with the flow at all. So that one really, yeah, it threw me. I was really a bit disappointed by that one. I generally thought, oh, I'm going to have some sort of it's going to be like Full Monty or, that sort of funny vibes where you just really enjoy it, but they're still hard. But no, apparently not. It just really sort of missed the point there. So on that one, I'm going to rate it 5 out of 10. Next up on my list is The Covenant, Guy Ritchie film. Now, Guy Ritchie is absolutely incredible directing of British films, but this is an American film, so I was actually quite shocked by this. And I've seen him sort of slip into these American roles at the minute, and some of them good, some of them not so good. This one I generally enjoyed. I thought it was fun in parts. It was a bit of an action film. It wasn't really what I expected. So it's set during the war in Afghanistan where a local interpreter risks his own life to carry an injured sergeant across miles of grueling terrain. Now this is where it takes a bit of a turn and he and his family are then put in danger with the Taliban. So the sergeant goes in undercover across Afghanistan to try and find the interpreter and his family and get them out with a visa that is coming through. Now, I didn't really know a lot about the Afghanistan war in terms of interpreters, but a lot of the interpreters actually were from Afghanistan or Iraq. And they were promised, especially by the Americans, visas. So if they did this work and helped them out, then they could have the visa to go move and be safe. Now, unfortunately, this wasn't the case, and only a very small number compared to the amount of interpreters were actually moved and sort of immigrated across to America. The rest were either in hiding, are still there today, or unfortunately were killed as being a traitor. Now, obviously, that's such a sad thing to think about, that you that promised such a life-changing thing, and obviously it didn't pay off. And what happened was that, as an incident, was the loss of lives, thousands of lives. So the film is really, really interesting. Jake Gyllenhaal as the lead, Andrew Starr, who's Homelander, was also in it. There was also one of the guys from Trainspotting. There was, as you can tell, a usual sort of cast for a Guy Ritchie film. Really good sort of mission action film. There hasn't been one of them for quite a little while. And I was talking to my wife about it, and we were talking about how, war films normally don't have the sort of heart sometimes, and sometimes you lose it, and sometimes it's just very patriotic. But this actually really had a lot of heart within it. The only thing that I could really say about it was that it was a bit overused in the slow motion. Now, I know Guy Ritchie absolutely loves a slow motion scene, but it seemed that any time that Jake Gyllenhaal wanted to pick up a gun, next thing you know, it was slow motion as he was shooting across, or they're on a bridge and there's the Taliban with the mortars come raiding in, and all of a sudden it's a slow motion of the explosions. And it was good the first time we saw it. Now, we're in 2023? It's like every war film does a slow motion scene. Try something a bit different. Look at like 1917, where all of a sudden it's like, let's do a one take, and the one take is an absolutely phenomenal look. And obviously we know it's not one take, it's a multi-purpose shot to make it look like a one take. However, we as the audience see it as that one take, and that's the thing. Again, it's bringing, like I said earlier, bringing that cinema experience together so that we all enjoy it. It was also heartfelt, and the true story behind it, that really shocked me. It was nice to learn something different about the war, where, it wasn't, oh yeah, we won. It was actually, no, thousands of people lost their lives because they were promised something which obviously they wasn't handed. So it just shows you the sort of state and what the effect of war yet again. So that was a real sort of nice turn in the week. That was a really good film. I really just switched off and enjoyed that one. So I'm going to rate that 7 out of 10. Second to last on this list is Reality. Now, this one was a HBO Max film. I'm quite a big fan of Sydney Sweeney. I think she's a really good actress in Euphoria and a couple of other bits that I've seen her in, like White Lotus. So I thought, I'll give Reality a go. I was sitting there by myself. Didn't really know much going in. So what it is it's about a former American intelligence specialist who was given a long sentence for unauthorized release of government information to the media about Russian interference in the 2016 United States election via an email operation. Now, what that means in layman's terms is basically she leaked an email about the whole Russian scandal. Yeah, really, really interested about this whole film. What they did was they took the recordings actually with Reality and the FBI agents, and they reenacted it into a film or into a script, and then based it all in one location. So easy, nice, cheap budget, better than what I thought it was going to be when it come on in the intro and it was said, this is the tapes we've reenacted. Everything is said. Nothing has been sort of exaggerated as such or dramatically exaggerated. So yeah, that was a nice sort of take on it as well. Going in, like I said, not a clue. They were so smart with it. In terms of just like some of the shot types, they really make you A, feel a little bit sorry for Reality, and B, they really show her under pressure. And that's what I really rated about this whole film, was the building of pressure, because the way she first acts, she's like, oh, I don't really know what's going on. And then obviously the more questions are coming out, she starts to slip and the pressure starts to build with the FBI. And that's where it becomes so much more interesting. There was a really, really interesting parts in this whole film was the redacted sections. So obviously they can't talk about what has been said. So what they would do was they would either animate the mouth so it sort of, or de-animate the mouth so it just didn't talk and there was like a white noise, or what they would do is they'd put like a fuzz across, or the character would disappear, or the character would appear somewhere else and be looking at a sort of location like a letterbox where she'd obviously sent the redacted information off to this sort of leaking company. So yeah, all in all, that was really, really impressed with the A, because this is what it was, like an hour and a half, 2 hour film, and I was glued the whole way through. There was not one part of this film where I was like, oh, I'm getting a bit bored. I don't really know what's going on. So yeah, that was a real nice sort of touch from that, and just seeing Sydney Sweeney in a film that is where she's acting of someone of her own age rather than sort of a young teenager was really nice as well. So we got to see like a bit more of a dramatic experience from her as well. So yeah, I rated this film 8 out of 10. And lastly, the one you've all probably been waiting for, Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Oh, honestly, what can I not say about this film? So, for those of you who've never really seen Spider-Man, the animated version anyway, we follow our new protagonist, Miles Morales. So, in this one, the synopsis for this one is Miles Morales catapults across a multiverse where he encounters a team of spider people, charged with protecting its very existence. With the heroes clash how to handle a new threat. Miles must redefine what is meant to be a hero. Wow, this film was just so good. Oh, honestly, literally, I could just go for hours because there were so many different aspects. And obviously, I'm going to do this as spoiler free as possible, as my producer is sitting right next to me and hasn't even seen the film. So, the art design. Oh, wow. The art design is flawless all the way through from start to finish. Even the credit scenes are just astonishing. The first 10 minutes of the film is just watercolor. And just to sort of wrap your heads around that, the amount of time and hours it would take just to do that is just unreal. Even characters. So, if for those of you who don't know, Miles is actually on a different frame rate compared to any of the other spiders because he doesn't fit in. That is just amazing. We have a newer character called Spider-Punk, who's an anarchist, who's on an even slower frame rate than Miles and the team to show he's an anarchist and to show he doesn't fit in. Again, they just up the bar each film. And honestly, this part of the saga is just brilliant. Now, for those of you who don't really know or was a bit confused when you're watching it, this is part one of two. So, as you know, with every part one film, like I've said previously, Fast X, Harry Potter 1, part ones are always a little bit slower. They're a bit more story building. There's not a lot of action per se in this one, but the action that is there is spellbinding. It's so beautiful to see all the amalgamations of different art designs and art styles going through this film. The soundtrack alone is really, really good. So the last one, obviously, we had the such hits as Sunflower and What's Up Danger. Now, Metro Boomin produced and presented this whole album with people like Swale, Lil Wayne, ASAP Rocky, Lil Uzi Vert, Future, and James Blake. Now, I absolutely love James Blake. I think he's a fantastic artist. I saw him when I went to see Kendrick the first time I went, and he really sort of threw me because he's so different. But to see him on this was such a nice touch, and it really brought the film with a bit more emotion to it. Now, this isn't a spoiler. There is a fantastic cameo. I'm not going to say who it is because my producer will kill me. But this cameo, and you'll know when you've seen it, this cameo, I literally gasped so loud in the cinema. It was such a nice touch to the live action and everything that's going on in the world with Marvel at the minute. Honestly, hats off to Marvel for that one. Now, again, like I said with the part one, it brought its ups and downs. My only thing was that it ended. Literally, that is the only thing that I could say that I just didn't enjoy was because it ended and I wanted more. Honestly, I could have watched another easy 2 hours. And this was already a long film. It was 2 hours, 20 minutes. But obviously, I know it has to stop somewhere. And luckily, we've had the release date of next year for part two as well. So that's obviously going to be something to look forward to. But all in all, honestly, the acting is always stellar. The guy who plays Miles is brilliant. He's so believable. Yeah, honestly, just absolutely blown away by this one. Now, this one I gave 9 out of 10. Didn't give it that 10 because I'm waiting for part two to absolutely blow me away again and just that'll get the 10. You know, it's hard to get a 10 out of 10. Well, that has been an interesting, proper full podcast. I thank you very much for listening. Taking 20 odd minutes out of your life. I really, really do appreciate it. And so does my producer. Like I said, this is our passion project. We're not doing this for money or anything. Not yet, anyway. But we're just doing this. I love film. I just want to talk about film. I don't care if anyone listens. I don't care if everyone listens. It's just a nice way for me to try this out and just try something new. So remember you can visit more reviews on my website, which is in Wix, and you can find the link for that on Buzzsprout, or you can message me directly. My Twitter is at Racy Reviews, and my Instagram is at Racy Reviews. In 2 weeks' time, we are looking at, hopefully, if I can get to the cinema, reviewing Transformers and the long and deeply awaited The Flash. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
That's a wrap.